Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is Sensei Swole checking in for another video on the channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you've already been following the Sensei Swole journey so far, I'd appreciate a like, a comment, or if you hit that notification bell so you know when the next video is out. You know, you get that little pop-up on your phones or whatever. So for today's video, I have an interesting topic that a lot of people either shy away from or just kind of avoid. So today's topic will be, am I natural? Or if I am natural, which you'll find out in a second, do I ever plan to take performance enhancing drugs? So real quick answer, yes, I'm natural. That's it. Pause the video, end the video, drop that like, get out of here. Now, but seriously, yeah, so 4.5 to almost 5 years into training, I've never relied on any kind of performance enhancing drugs to, alter or enhance my performance so far into my weight loss journey or bodybuilding journey. So, 5 years, 3 of those being just kind of phases of training and losing weight, and 2 of those years being bodybuilding. The thought obviously does kind of drop into everyone's head when they do train, but for me, it's never really grown to that point where I've actually wanted to, bite the bullet and do something like that. The main reason for myself why I don't want to really do anything like that is because of obviously the health risks, and I like to always think about things in a benefit versus risk ratio. So obviously, I did a Bachelor of Biomedical Science, I did a Master's Radiography, so a lot of health learning relating to a bunch of things on physiological levels, hormonal levels. I studied all of that in uni, and I always do extra studies and listen to plenty of big names in the sport, gurus, bodybuilders, powerlifters, coaches, and they always discuss things like these and the detrimental effects it can have on an individual. So even though I am in a sport of bodybuilding where size is kind of, appreciated, and that's kind of what you're judged on a bodybuilding stage, besides, obviously your conditioning and all that, it's never something that I feel I can really navigate towards, because I kind of understand the risks associated. And that can vary from a lot of things. It can vary from, affecting your organs, your hormones, your mood, and even just kind of your lifespan. So these things are kind of always floating around in my head whenever anyone would kind of ask me if I would ever go down that approach, or if I was ever, told by someone that, I might blow up if I started taking performance enhancing drugs like anabolic steroids. And pretty much, yes, it would be kind of cool to see, what my body could look like and how far I could go in this sport, because the natural stage, as amazing as it is kind of limited in the outreach you can have in the community. Most of the time when people are glorified on social media or YouTube in the bodybuilding world, it's hard to see most of those people being glorified from a natural perspective. It's usually the bigger guys who are insanely jacked, weighing 120, 130 kilos lean. All these guys, the Olympia, the Arnold Classic, all these big non-tested federations in bodybuilding, they kind of get all the hype and the clout in the industry. And those are usually some factors that make people want to bite the bullet, go for it, see, not only what kind of physique they can achieve, but also to make a name for themselves. And I'll be honest, it is a lot harder and a lot slower to kind of get that outreach as a natural athlete. Especially because when you're compared to someone who's taking performance enhancing drugs, you just don't have that X factor, you don't have that pop, you don't have that look, and you don't have that freakiness which people kind of look up to in this sport, or even just that really big but aesthetic physique, which you can get naturally, but it's just a downsized version of that. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against people that take anabolic steroids. I know a lot of people personally who have competed naturally and then started taking performance enhancing drugs to, progress in the sport. And as long as you're honest and transparent about it, that's the main thing to me. I really don't like when people, either take things like performance enhancing drugs and preach, the training principles and diet, which obviously is a big factor, but solely, promoting that aspect of their life for the reason that they achieve that physique, which is completely wrong. And even worse, where some people take performance enhancing drugs and somehow know how to taper it off and get it out of their system, and they compete in natural shows, which is a low blow. I think people who do that are quite dishonest, not only to others in the community or the sport of bodybuilding, but to themselves, because in a way they probably do accept inside that even with taking performance enhancing drugs, they could never get to that top tier level in the non-tested federations. So they try and do things like max out their size with performance enhancing steroids and things like that and compete in a natural stage. And you know, surprisingly enough, sometimes a natural guy will still beat that guy who is taking these extra compounds or extra substances just because they focus sheerly on the size of their physique and they don't really look at the main fundamentals, being the diet, which plays a major role, the conditioning you need to bring to a bodybuilding stage, because they solely rely on these magical, you know, supplements that will boost their physique or boost their strength. And a lot of the time they can't really let go of that image of being big on stage, which can cost them quite big. I've attended IFBB shows here in Sydney, Australia, and I'll be honest, when I was watching some of the lineups on stage, I was quite disappointed with the physiques I was seeing. There may have been a few guys, obviously the overall winners, who came in not only big, but conditioned and, you know, lean. They actually looked like a bodybuilder. Whereas some other guys were coming in holding lots of water weight, not really that sharp on stage. And that's mainly because of what I just mentioned, where they don't really want to let go of that size aspect, and it can cost them big on stage. Now for me, throughout my years of training, when I was still a bit heavier, getting into the leaner state, you know, a year or two before competing, I was offered by multiple people in the gym taking certain compounds such as like clenbuterol to drop weight, drop body fat. I had people obviously approach me saying that after my first show in November 2020, when I managed to win my junior show, that I proved it. I proved enough to myself and to others, and that if I took something, you know, I could get much, much further ahead. But to me, after competing in that first show and winning, which I did not expect, and still doing pretty well in my journey so far, it's weird. Some people may think that after someone does really good naturally, that they might want to, you know, go to that next level. But to me, it just shows me that if I can still do so well naturally, and I'm only 4 to 5 years into this thing of competing in bodybuilding, I want to see how far I can push it on my own. And that doesn't mean without coaching or anything. It just means, where is my natural threshold? Where is my natural limit? And although muscle gain does start dropping down after a few years into training, you can still improve your look on stage year in, year out, or preferably not, because you want to have a bit of a gap between your competitions. But my main goal leading into future years and future competitions is just to improve on my physique, strengthen my weak points, and just be the best version of myself on my own, and kind of not put my health at risk leading into the future. Yes, it would be awesome to, you know, see how my body would develop and grow if I were to take something like anabolic steroids and, you know, possibly make a name for myself. You know, let's say in some world I could get to the IFBB stage, become a pro, compete on the Olympia stage, which is like any bodybuilder's dream if they really could get to that level. At the same time, I'd be dishonest with myself and kind of going against what I just said pretty much throughout this entire video. And yeah, who knows, you know, you can make a living off it, you could land some amazing sponsorships, not really have to, you know, work a day in your life with a normal kind of 9-to-5 job, because bodybuilding would be that kind of job and source of income. The training, the eating, the sponsorship deals, guest posing, things like that, which would be awesome. But at the same time, I think about the long run. I don't want to put my health at risk. I don't want to have friends and family worrying about my health if something were to happen to me, which lands me up in an awful situation. And I don't want to be in a position 30 years from now where I'm looking back and I'm regretting what I just did if I were to go down that route. So pretty much, yeah, as I just said in the start of the video, which was a quick answer, but throughout this talk in this video, the overall answer is no. I do not plan to take performance enhancing drugs. Even if it was offered to me for free, or someone came from the future and told me that I could be the next Jay Cutler or something like that, I just don't know how my body will respond. I don't want to put my health at risk, and I don't want to go into that unknown world where who knows what could happen to me, you know, 1, 2, 5, 10 years from now. And yeah, so look, obviously it is hard to get far as a natural bodybuilder sometimes, especially if you're not one of those, you know, genetic freaks. But if you put in the hard work, if you take it nice and slow, and you actually kind of have a goal in your mind and envision it, the only thing you can do is just try to be the best version you can of yourself. So that's the plan. Rest of this year, as you guys know, I'm in my off season, 8 weeks into the off season now, up 3.5 kilos, really nice and slow, aiming to go from my current weight of about 77 kilos now to about 86 to 88 kilos by December. Do another 4 to 5 month shred, and compete in April 2023, hopefully going for a pro card. I'm not sure if that's either going to be in bodybuilding or in classic physique. I did compete in both of those divisions this year, and honestly it's hard for me to choose between those, because I love bodybuilding for the pure intensity it has and the power you have on stage in certain poses. But then I love classic physique for the style of posing, the art behind bodybuilding, and basically just having your own twist on certain poses on stage, which is awesome. If you're a natural athlete and you're kind of contemplating whether or not to take that step and bite that bullet, I would just say kind of take a step back, look at your life, look at what the benefits may be from it, look at what the risks are as well, because that's an important thing. And one other thing is, please do your research and don't go with some guru coach who's gonna, you know, ruin your life. There's a lot of these coaches out there that train people that are on performance enhancing substances like steroids, that just blast them full of all these things that the client doesn't even understand or doesn't know what it's going to do to their body. They don't get blood work, they don't track how their body's responding, and yeah, you're just writing off years of your life. So there's the answer. Sensei Swole's natural. He's plans to stay natural, keep the competitions going, hopefully bring in a better physique each competition season I compete in. And yeah, if you have any questions at all, drop them in the comment section below. I always get a lot of DMs relating to this topic, so I thought I'd just sit down and make a video about it. I hope you appreciate the honesty. And yeah, I'd appreciate, as always, if you could follow on here, follow on the Instagram page, drop a like and comment on this video. It truly helps with the channel, guys. Obviously, we're still, you know, pretty slow delving into this YouTube thing. It takes time to kind of grow on this platform, and I appreciate any support. But for today's video, that is it. Sensei Swole checking out.